Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hey, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to Scary Spirits Reviews,
Ooh.
where we review a film currently in theaters or newly streaming or obscure that no one knows about and maybe should.
From 6 years ago. Ish.
Yeah, but I'm sure not many people know about this film. Now, we're not going to spoil anything if anyone hasn't watched it. Right, Karen?
Well, maybe a little.
All right. But this is not just a regular Scary Spirits Reviews, Karen. This is a very special Scary Spirits Reviews.
I know we have a movie insider.
Yes. We have a guy who actually worked on this
I think that makes
film.
us influencers again. I'm just saying. I think we're influencers.
Yeah, so joining us to talk about this film is Brendan Vennemeyer, who was on the crew of this film as the best boy grip, it says in IMDb, Karen. Hello, Brendan. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me.
It's our pleasure.
I bet he's so excited.
I've never done anything like this.
We got someone to come on our podcast, Greg. That's exciting.
I know, it's crazy. Oh, he's like number 4 or something like that.
Oh, boy.
Karen, would you like to know what film we are reviewing?
Well, I would hope I already do know, but yes, why don't you tell everyone else?
Oh, I should tell all the boys and girls out there. The film we are reviewing is called Notzilla, and it was released in 2019.
I was going to say that wasn't 6 years ago, but it's pretty close to 6 years ago.
It is.
Gen X math again is getting me.
Well, it's shot in 2018, so that's closer to 6 ago, or
Yes.
6 years ago.
Yeah, so there you go.
First off, we need to know, what does a best boy grip mean and do?
So there's separate departments within film, as you guys probably know. All sorts of, the director, the camera department, lighting and grip department, sound, all those different kinds of departments. The lighting and grip department works closely with the camera department, create the look of the film. So they handle the lights, block light and diffuse light. And there's a lot of nuances, like they're all separate. Like grip and electric is 2 different departments technically, but they work very closely together.
So hold it back up even more. What does grip even mean?
It's hard to explain. They do camera support and they do the blocking and shaping of light, essentially. So they'll, if you ask for a camera to be in a certain location, the grips will make sure that the camera's there, level. Same with a light. If you ask for a light to be in a tree, they'll set a point for you and you can hang your light in. The best boy works underneath the keys, which would be the gaffer for the lighting department, key grip, the grip department. He is their assistant. On a real movie, he is the one who will book grips. He's the one who will schedule certain things. He's who's in touch with the movie, so the producers and all that stuff. Looking for a pre-call. He does basically everything that the key grip shouldn't have to worry about. Taking care of the equipment, the trucks, all those things.
So the key grip just wants to walk on the set and have everything there and ready to go.
Correct.
For him.
The key grip is going to hang out at the DP's station or with the DP. So whenever the DP is director of photography. So whenever he says, hey, we need, some black here, or we need to put this over here, the key grip can call it out and then get it done. So the best boy is his assistant.
But why do they call it the best boy? What is that?
I don't know.
Oh.
And that is something that's going away.
Because are there women that do it?
There are women that do it, yeah.
And they're called best boys.
Yes, it's also something that's going away. So in our recent IATSE voting, they have kind of voted to get rid of that. So it's now like chief Like for the lighting department, it's like chief assistant lighting. For the grips, I guess it's just assistant.
So it sounds like basically the director whispers into the key grip's ear, "Hey,
Yep.
make this a little darker." And then the key grip yells, "Hey, best boy, make that a little darker." Is that how it goes?
Sort of. Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Sounds
but
more
he
like
usually calls it out over walkie, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
you can scream.
And then takes credit for it.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Shit flows downhill, Karen. They tell me.
Yeah.
I think I need a best boy.
But
too bad it's going away.
Right. But on this movie, on Notzilla, it was so small that title doesn't matter. So we were all helping each other, if that makes sense. Usually the best boy isn't on set. He's usually at the trucks, keeping them organized, keeping them ready to go. He'll come on set if things get a little hairy, a little too busy. Most of the time he's off a set, handling all the office stuff. He's the guy that hands out our paychecks, so we like him a lot. But I was not that guy. I was just a guy on this movie. But since
so they gave you a fake title?
Well, since there was only 4 of us in Grip and Electric, for the entire movie, so it was kind of like, hey, you're just another guy. But the title is formality, so there's 2 grips, 2 electrics, and that's how we made a movie.
This was your first movie?
It's my first ever movie.
Okay, but you had done work prior to that, right? With commercials and things.
Yeah, so I worked with the Bengals a few times, did a couple P&G things.
So how do you get involved in that? Did you go to college? Did you go to trade school? What qualifies you to enter into that type of career?
It's all about who you know and who you meet. It's all about networking and things like that. My wife's uncle was the director of photography he called me and asked me if I wanted to work.
And then once you have experience, then you can move on. But you said you'd worked for the Bengals before that, so you have some knowledge.
Right. So I quit my full-time job in May of 2018 to be in the film business because I was seriously dating my wife, and I knew that her uncle was in it. So I was using his name to kind of get my foot in the door. And then I met some people from a local production company who took me on set, and then they kind of kept hiring me. And so I was like, okay, I can make this a thing.
So people like you then. That's what you're saying.
I don't know why, but yes, apparently.
Oh, Greg, you have to be likable. It's not going to work out for you.
I think it's 80% of it, to be honest.
I don't like your tone, Karen. I want to say right here, full disclosure, that I've known Brendan quite a while.
Long time.
I don't even know how long. But he and my son grew up together, played lacrosse together in high school, all that kind of stuff. His father and myself would sit up in the stands and shoot the shit while the game was going.
Probably quietly watch the game while it was going on. Would you say that was how that went?
There's a lot of yelling.
Not for me, Karen, though. I didn't yell.
No, you were quiet. Gee, when my kid played lacrosse, all everybody yelled was, "Get the ball!" And I was like, I think they know they're supposed to do that. But whatever.
So I heard you mention IOTC, Brendan. What the hell is that?
IOTC.
Yeah, didn't you say something? What did
IOTC?
IOTC.
It's the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage and Motion Pictures. It's the union.
Okay.
So stagehands are part of IOTC as well. So all the
concerts.
Are
you part of voting for the movies for the Academy Awards?
I wish I was that important.
But are you affected at all by like writers' strikes and all that garbage?
Oh yeah. We didn't
cross picket lines.
Hardly worked during the writers' strike. The writers are part of IOTC as well, so it's kind of like one union, many crafts. I think it's basically everybody but producers and directors. So the camera department, sound department, Foley.
So all the crew.
Yeah, everybody what they call below the line, IOTC.
All right. Do you want to get into the film now, Karen?
So you worked a little bit before this, but this is your foot in the door.
This was my foot into the movie world.
And you were on set because it was a very small crew. So you were watching this be made.
Correct. And I got on this movie because I know I was dating now married to the director of photography.
So nepotism. You're a Nepo baby, basically.
That's right. That's right. And I still use his name to that day.
As you should.
That guy. I know that guy.
Yep.
Get me on set.
Huh.
I'm going to say I know that guy. So whatever.
You might.
Good.
I'm thinking I might. Like, I know some of your wife's relatives, don't I? Didn't I go to high school with them? And if I did, Karen did.
Well, you went to
Well,
high
I was
school with my
good.
mom, right?
Yeah. Well, no, your mom's was a little
Tad.
older than us.
Oh, I was going to say a
Oh.
tad
No.
younger.
Even though Karen's way older than me. All right, Karen, are you ready to get into the film now?
Yes, Greg, let's do it.
All right. Tell us, Karen. Tell us everything you really enjoyed or were pleasantly surprised by in this film.
So just to
No
remind
pressure that Brendan worked on it.
to remind everyone, when we review a film, we don't go scene by scene. So we're just going to talk about what we liked and didn't, and not go through the whole thing.
No
So
spoilers.
Notzilla brought back a lot of childhood memories because we watched those films as kids, Godzilla films. And if you watch those films, there are a lot of jokes in the movie that kind of harken back to that, which you get if you watch those movies, which my mom loved. So I actually like these kind of movies. It's like Airplane or Spaceballs or, that is funny to me.
And that's how this film is.
Yes. And so I laughed a lot watching it because I like that humor. So I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised by the whole thing. I had no idea what to expect. I'd obviously not heard of it. So I didn't know what it was going to be. I knew it was a small budget and small crew and everything. So I wasn't sure. And I was like, oh God, I gotta watch this film. And then I was laughing through a lot of it's just jokes that I like. That's my humor. Besides the dark sarcasm, that's another part of my humor. But those silly jokes that are kind of, you have to listen and pay attention to keep up and with all the jokes. And I like that. So that's what I liked. And the acting was fine. The lighting, amazeballs. I just want to say, just on point. Just really, really well done. But yeah, that's pretty much what I liked about it. They did all the Godzilla things.
Is that all, Karen? That's all you really liked?
That's what I've got. What about you? What did you like?
All right. I have quite a few notes here.
Ooh, look at you.
I know. So the first thing
trying
I wrote,
to impress you. I'm just going to say that right now.
No. He knows me better than that. So I went into it kind of knowing what it was, right?
Okay.
As I usually do, because I kind of do research on things and whatnot. So the first thing I have written down, it's so bad, it's good.
I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it's a parody.
Yeah, but specifically, it's much better than Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which we've already.
Oh, come on.
Done. Oh my God, it's so much better. It is.
That's good.
I think so.
That's a compliment.
And
I think
it is. And Plan 9 from Outer Space. See, Karen loved both of those. I hate
because I like this kind of film. That's what I'm saying.
I hated them. And I specifically wrote Airplane, like as you mentioned, and Naked Gun. Leslie Nielsen
it's a
films,
lot like,
basically.
Well, Spaceballs too.
That is
the
Mel
same
Brooks.
kind of humor.
Yeah, you could put Mel Brooks in there too.
Yeah.
I wrote the jokes are stupid, and this is a compliment. The jokes are stupid, but written smartly. Like you have to pay and you have to pay attention and you have to know something about some stuff. And just like you, Karen, it took me right back to like the early 70s. Because I don't remember 1962, which is when this takes place, right? Do you remember 1962, Karen?
No, quit being mean.
Okay.
No, but those movies were on Saturdays.
They were.
Right?
That's
Saturday
what I'm saying.
afternoons and stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, like the English dubbed.
We're talking about the Godzilla ones.
Yes, the English dubbed Japanese films like Godzilla.
Yes.
There was Ultraman.
Mothra.
Yes, Ultraman, which was I used to watch every day after school. Those kind of films. I especially enjoyed the Cincinnati jokes. Things you kind of have to, because we're all from Cincinnati, boys and girls. Things you kind of have to be from Cincinnati or
the chili. Who wants chili?
To get some. There's some.
I'm running like.
And the oyster crackers.
I ate, you know what the funny thing too, the oyster cracker, but I just ate at that restaurant that they were in, that diner. when my friend came to visit from California. I can't remember for the life of me what it's
I didn't
called.
think it was still open.
It's still open.
Is it really the one in
It's in over the Rhine,
Netherlands?
right?
It's in Netherland Plaza. It was at the bottom of Netherland Plaza.
I don't know, but it looked an awful.
You're thinking of the one that looks like a trailer. Is that the one you're thinking of?
It's lit with neons.
Yes.
It's not the same one. Oh,
looks
it's
like
not
an
the same
Airstream
one.
No,
trailer.
they used that facade, but it's not the same. No,
Yeah, that
Okay.
was the exterior shots. I did recognize that.
Okay.
But
the
I
inside
think
is
the
the bottom of
interior was
Netherland
different.
Plaza.
Okay. No, I was talking about the outside.
That's Sugar and Spice, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
That's where we went. Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, I was just there.
And when I
Well,
made a
not
special
really,
note,
I guess.
I made a special note of this when one of the characters mentioned Midwestern hayride. Oh, I laughed. That was so funny. Which is showing my age, boys and girls. Because that was before my time, and you have to be old to, remember way back then.
I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but
That's a joke that flew over my head.
So back in the day, Cincinnati was pretty like TV and radio like hub with WLW and TV and radio. I thought it looked like, and this is another compliment, Brendan. So I thought it looked like a play I would see at Playhouse in the Park.
That's very interesting that you say that, because the director was a play director before he made this movie.
So I was going to ask you, do you know if this was a play prior to becoming a film?
If I remember correctly, the movie was devised at G-Fest in Chicago, which is a Godzilla festival.
Okay.
Oh.
In Chicago. That's where the guys who created the suit met our director, who's Mitch Teamley.
And this was released. It was released at G-Fest in 2019, according to Wikipedia.
Correct.
I didn't even know there was G-Fest. That's a whole nother world.
Oh, yeah. So we did it the original Godzilla way. Man in a suit, small sets, rear projection.
The guy in the suit where you can see the zipper. That was just classic.
It's funny. But talking about the suit, the next thing I have is it's actually a very good job, I think.
The guy who made it,
for the budget, I'm sure they had. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very small. The guy who made the suit, his name is Jacob K. Bishop. It's in the credits. I think he's from Alabama, but he makes all sorts of those monster suits. And he met the director at G-Fest, and he was like, hey, the director's like, hey, I'm going to make this movie. I want you guys to make it. And they came together and they made that beautiful suit. And my wife's uncle still has the suit. So I can get you guys. Oh, yeah. I could get you guys a front row seat to that suit if you want.
Can we do photo ops with it?
Sure.
Put a Scary Spirits podcast shirt on that thing.
T-shirt on it. Yeah, for sure.
That poor man in that suit sweated so much.
Oh, there weren't air vents, I bet.
He had one fan in the head that would blow down.
But it looked like his neck was cut so he could see. That's what
I think he saw out of the mouth.
Okay.
But yeah, you might be right. It might have been out of the neck. I don't remember 100%. But he would take it off at the end of the day, and he would hang it up by the grip truck, and the fingers drip sweat.
Oh.
He was that poor man. I don't know how he didn't keel over, but.
What was his first name, you think?
Jacob, I think.
Jacob Baker.
Yes, Baker. I'm sorry, not Bishop. Baker. Him and his dad made that suit out of upholstery foam latex or something.
Like with molds, or they had to have had some sort of molds or something.
That I don't know. I'm sure. Like apparently they go to G-Fest every year and make their
hot knives and things like that, and hot wire knives, and carve it out of foam, and then probably coat it with latex once they have the shape right, and then paint it. But there's a lot of mechanical stuff going on too, with the eyes and the mouth and all that stuff.
The eyes themselves didn't move too much. He had to kind of go in with his hands and kind of move the eyes around. Like
okay, that makes sense. That's why you never saw a full body shot with him waving his hands and moving his eyes at the same time.
That's right. But they also made that little hand puppet that you see that comes out of the egg.
Yeah.
They made that and the egg itself.
The egg is well done too, I think.
Also made out of foam.
It's well done. I wrote there's some good shots. There's some good mirror play in it.
Yeah, there's some shots where they're up high or down low. You know,
Karen
they move the camera around.
Karen is also a professional photographer, boys and girls. So, she would recognize good shots
of portraits, not of film.
Yes. I did write good acting. And I felt like I might have recognized a couple of them. Like they might be local and I might have seen them in something in a play.
Yeah.
You're right. It is very similar to a play. Once you said that, it is a lot like a play. And the actors act like they're in a play, but they're good.
And sometimes
I don't think anyone.
Correct. In some films we review, Karen will say, especially her, will say it's like a high school play, which is I think what you said about Plan 9 or whatever, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
Plan 9 is a high school play. This is not a high school play. This is like a professional.
No, this is a
Playhouse
this
at the park kind of feel. Play. Yeah.
But as a comedy, and the actors seem very in on the joke, and they do seem to be having a good time doing it, which is a good thing to
and they all play it
come
straight
across on the
which
film.
Is great too. I think that's what makes it really. That's what they play it straight. They don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah. I think they had good direction in our director, Mitch Teamley, who is also in the movie. He's
and he's one of the guys I think I recognize.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I pulled up some info on him, and he was like hosted a Disney special.
Oh, wow.
Back in 1973, which I probably saw on TV.
He directs plays, I think, around here and
he does
adjoining cities. Yeah. So I think that's probably why it feels much like a play. It's very much blocked like play.
When I pulled him up and saw his age and his picture, I'm like, wow, no way. Because I didn't think he was. I was going to ask you, one of my questions was if he is a first-time filmmaker, and he obviously was not. He's been in the business a long time.
Mitch Teamley?
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought this was his first directorial debut, but hey.
Like I said, he co-wrote Disney specials and hosted them.
But did he direct anything?
I don't know. I'm looking. He became a member of he was a member of the National Lampoon Players. Like doing improv and stuff.
Mitch Teamley?
I'm reading. That's what Wikipedia says. It's got to be right.
Lord.
It's on the internet. He went to UCLA. His first feature was produced in the year 2000.
Oh, okay.
So he was new to that part of the business, I guess, but he's been active since 1973, doing other things, writing and sketch comedy and whatnot.
Wow.
There you go. You learn something new every day, Brendan.
Look, you're teaching me stuff. And I even worked on this movie. Worked right next to this guy. I didn't even know any of that.
And I have a question about your IMDb.
Okay.
So it says Brendan Vennemeyer. And then there's also in here somewhere it says also known as Brendan Vennemeyer. So were you just trying to cover all of the bases? And if someone looked up your name, or were you trying to, hold all the Brendan Vennemeyers?
How is it? How is it spelled? I don't think anybody's going to steal it.
No, one is with an A-N at the end, and one is with an E-N.
Oh, I didn't do that, so I don't know. Maybe,
okay.
Maybe trying to link me together.
Yes, somebody maybe miscredited you or something, or spelled your name wrong in the credits. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I'll take it. If he has more credits than me, sure.
No, you share the same credits.
Oh, okay.
And that's all I have for things I liked.
You don't have any comment on the lighting, Greg?
Well, I said good shots, especially mirror play, and
that's camera work.
But he set up the lighting and the camera.
I tried. See, I throw the little softball and he just whiffs it. I will say there is sequel potential, which is something I always like. And it's the kind I like where it's the very end and something happens and you like, ooh.
Or is it in the middle and we're just going to try and pick up somewhere from there?
Well, the actual, there's jokes about it throughout, but there could be a sequel at the end. I'm sure there wasn't, but I always like the horror films where they kill the mega shark and at the very end you see the little baby swimming away. That always that's the perfection of we can have a sequel. So I do like sequel potential.
I will say I do like that you guys got all the Godzilla stuff because that was the point of making it. It's an homage.
Well, I think you have to be a certain age. and to have watched them.
Or been a monster kid at any point, but it was on all the time. There was a creature feature every weekend or something when we were kids.
We watched them, but we watched the same like 3 movies. Like we watched, because we had them on VHS. We would watch like Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus Mega Godzilla, Godzilla 2000.
But I can hear the screech in my head right now that Godzilla would make.
So, but like with the snap zooms and lighting and stuff, it's just very much an homage to Godzilla. And that was what was so much fun about making it. It's a guy in a suit, small sets. You're seeing old school Hollywood be made in a new school era. It was really cool.
And it kind of looked like to me that the audio was kind of not synced with the mouth of the actor, which is just like those Japanese films too. I assume that was purposeful.
Yes. Well, and too, as a former scientist, there are some women scientists in there, and there are some very funny jokes.
She's also a doctor.
So
Brendan, just so you know.
Like,
doctor and a photographer.
Yeah, wow. I mean, crazy. Not a medical doctor. Don't get overly impressed. But there are some very funny jokes that the female scientists get to say in this film.
Sure, I knew you would love that.
I really enjoyed laughing at those. It's like,
I knew you would love
it. Is right up my alley there. So that was fun. Good writing. I mean, it just flowed so nicely from joke to joke. And I'm sure I missed some, but I was really laughing watching it. And I didn't have any, like I said, I didn't know what it was going to be like. So I was very pleasantly surprised at the jokes, and they just keep flowing, and it's very good writing and acting.
And I don't know if this is another Cincinnati joke thing, but I thought it was hilarious when they got to like the Kentucky farm boy or whatever he is, his house. That was terrific.
Yeah, that was poking fun at the Kentuckians for sure.
That was terrific. I laughed. All right, Karen, anything you didn't particularly enjoy or didn't like?
Well, as it can be with films like this, they can go a little long because they start to kind of not repeat jokes, but there's a certain point where you're kind of like, okay, it's enough. So I'd say it went a little long. They tried to get some other like the romance in there and that kind of stuff. But they didn't really, I don't know. I mean, I liked the film as a whole, but there were some subplots that were a little less well done than the whole thing together. There are some twists in it, 2 or 3 that I didn't expect. So that's always nice to have. But I think these kind of movies, there's a point where your brain just goes, okay, I've had enough. And I would say this is probably 10 or 15 minutes too long for me. But I still enjoyed it. That's the only criticism I really have, because I liked everything else about it.
Yeah, I agree that it was a little slow and it was a little long at points. I agree. It was probably 10 minutes, 10, 15, like you said, I guess 10, 15 minutes, a little too long. The only other thing I have is I also said that feels like the right period and looks a lot like 1962, but then I have a little asterisk and I said, except for Cincinnati. Cincinnati looks nothing like it did in 1962.
But it's cool to see your home city in a film, I think. But I lived away from Cincinnati
on some of the
for a
buildings
long time,
are changed. They're not what they were in 1962 and whatnot.
But to see the skyline and everything, it just brings you back home. There's like a warm feeling to it.
Which was different in 1962.
I know, but they can't. What are they going to do? Come on.
I know. That's why I'm saying this ticky-tack. I said earlier, it's kind of ticky-tack, but from someone from the city, I noticed. You know what I mean? It kind of took me out of the 1962 moment at times. That was all.
You're too picky. You're always telling me to go with the flow. It's a movie. You're overthinking it.
That's true. I do. But
you get a lot of skyline shots too.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I just rewatched it earlier for you guys, and there's a lot of exterior shots I didn't realize were still in there.
And I don't think that park that they're walking in was there in 1962.
No, probably not.
No, it wasn't. But since you brought that up, Karen, I was thinking that was going on. Did you have to get like clearance from the
Permits?
city and permits and actually close the park off or be allowed to for
Yeah, 'cause
maybe
nobody
a
else
few
was
hours?
there.
Because there's nobody there.
Sure. I don't know. That's not my department, as we
Okay.
say. The producers would have to cover all that stuff, but I'm sure we did. If not, I think you need a permit anyway to shoot in public spaces like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's what, Smalley Park, so it's down right on the river.
Right.
So it's
Pretty short scene. Maybe they just had people say, "Hey, just give us 10 minutes."
yeah.
Right.
You
I
know.
know. Like I said an hour. I was being generous. Like maybe, you didn't walk quite right there, or you flubbed a word or
Right.
whatever, but
I don't know. I would imagine they at least had permission to shoot there. I don't know if they closed the park. I don't remember if they did. I doubt it. I don't think they have the kind of money to close down a park. At least get a permit.
all right, you ready to give our cocktail rating, Karen?
Sure.
Brendan, so we rate our cocktails on a scale for our movies on a cocktail scale of 1 to 5.
Okay.
1 being the best, which means it only took us one cocktail to get through the film, right?
Oh, okay. I see. I was like, you're doing the opposite. I want to know
Yeah. So like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, I wanted to give 5 cocktails because it took me 5 cocktails to get through that
Oh
film.
my
why.
God.
Had to get real drunk to finish
Yeah.
that movie.
True. Karen disagreed with
Such a baby.
me. So, are you ready to give our cocktail rating, Karen?
Yes.
Okay. Before we do, I have to tell you, this has a
Oh,
4.6 out of 10 approval rating on IMDb.
Oh yeah.
nice.
It has a 71% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
4 point whatever is not the worst movie we've seen, just so you know. So Google.
What do you
How
think
many-
Google users think of this film?
Does it show you how many people watched the movie? Let's start there.
Yeah, does it tell me how many people responded?
No. Well, I cannot look that up on Google. I could probably look it up on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. I have it up on IMDb. Let's see.
What is the viewer count? That's my question, because I don't even know how many people know this movie exists. I'm actually shocked.
Which is why
you
we're
guys
doing
wanted
it.
to watch the movie.
That's why we're doing it. I mean, this won awards.
Oh, it's going to get a big bump.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, come on.
It's got
Well,
7.
I'm sure after this, for sure, it will. I'm just saying, like, I just
It
to
won
get reached
7.
out to from the legendary Greg Wallace and be like, "Hey, I want to watch your movie." It's just unbelievable to me. I just don't understand.
Did
this
you need
one?
to have a sit down and
Yeah.
gather yourself before you texted back?
Out of all the movies I've worked on, this one
Jesus
is
Christ.
the one you guys want to.
Well, are there other horror movies that you've worked on?
Well, see, that's the thing. We're a horror thing, so
Oh, okay,
that's why I picked this one in particular.
gotcha.
But I will. This won 7 awards and was nominated for 3 other things.
At G Fest,
Here's the things it won: Florida Comedy Film Festival as a comedy, Best Feature Film, and Best Actress in a Feature Film. I assume for the redheaded lady. At the Connuga Film Festival, it won Best in Show. The Will Rogers Motion Picture Festival, it won Best Comedy Feature. The
Wow.
Simply Indie Film Fest, it won Best Actress Feature for that same actress. And in the top Indie Film Awards, it won Best Humor and Best Sound.
good for it.
Yeah,
That's
those
awesome.
are the things they won. So 301 people put a review in on IMDb. And of those 301 people, they got a 4.6.
Averaged, yeah.
So then on Rotten Tomatoes, they got a 71% approval rating. And it has fewer than 50 reviews. So not a lot.
So everybody needs to go on there and give
Rotten
them a
Tomatoes.
review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch it and go on Rotten
go watch
Tomatoes
the
and
movie.
give them a review. We did say it's probably 10 minutes too long, but it's only an hour and 18 minutes. It's 78
Yeah.
minutes. And if you don't watch the
And you got to
credits, you
keep
can
in
knock
mind
off
it's an
a couple.
independent film and low budget, and appreciate it for what it is.
Correct. All right. So
If
there you go,
live
Karen.
in Cincinnati, you have to watch it.
Oh, you would
Yes.
love it. If you live in
Cin-
Cincinnati or Southwestern Ohio or Northern Kentucky, you will love it.
So Google,
So you got 4.6 out of 10 IMDb, 71% Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think Google users think, Karen?
I'm going to go 68. Don't tell us. Now he has to guess.
Yeah, Brendan, what do you think?
What do you think? It's a total crapshoot. Google
Yeah,
users
they
are
could
crazy.
be all over the place.
45.
The answer is 35.
Oh my
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Google's it seems like it's usually a lot more, but sometimes it's about half of what.
Sometimes if it's like
but I
thought
think
maybe
it's
this
because many people know about it. I'll bet if people watched it and went to Google and left a review, it would do much better.
I thought maybe it would be get one of those cult like followings, and then those are the Google
Well,
ones that go really high.
After people hear this podcast, Karen,
Absolutely.
were you paid just a one-time fee, or do you have like points or whatever? Or
I was paid hourly, unfortunately.
Sorry, I called him Beebs.
Because we learned about points when we talked to some other actors in a film. So you got paid hourly.
Yeah, I got paid normal. I didn't get a cut of the profits or anything like that.
And once again, boys and girls, I've known Brendan for a long time, and we all call him Beebs. So.
Yeah, it's a family nickname.
It's out there now. It's out there now.
That should be on his IMDb. Also, not just Brendan, Brendan, Beebs.
Beebs. Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Maybe I'll go in there and change it.
All right. So, how many cocktails do you want to give this film, Karen? From was it 2019?
I liked it. I think it's a 3.
I agree.
I wouldn't give it a 4. We've given way worse movie. I really like this movie.
Brendan,
I was laughing.
I was too. And Brendan, we've given some really good films 3s, I think. Sometimes we don't agree. So
takes you 3 cocktails to get through a good film.
Well, it's kind of hard because we have to figure out what's average. And then to get really good, like if it's really not so good, it's a 4. If it's really pretty good, it's a 2. I don't know. I think Psycho might be the only one.
Psycho's the only film we've given a 1 to.
Maybe
I think.
Is it, or was The Omen? Did we do it for The Omen?
I would have given The Omen a 1. I don't know if you did or not, Karen. I don't remember.
I think we maybe did.
They're both phenomenal movies.
Yeah, and I think Attack of the Killer Tomatoes got a 5. I think you won that.
No, I don't think I did, because I never win, boys and girls. People know that have listened to us. I never win.
True. Not true.
Every now and then you throw me a bone. I think the one we did not long ago, Night of the Demons. You gave me that one.
Yeah.
That movie's awesome.
Well, we did.
It's the remake.
We're talking about the remake this
time.
Well, I think maybe we should ask Brendan either if he can tell us what he's working on now, or.
Yeah, you got anything to pitch, Brendan? Or is there any other movies that it's on your IMDb that were very good?
Do you get a promotion from Best Boy, or do you stay Best Boy for a while?
Well,
what's the structure there?
You're now a lighting technician, apparently.
Yeah, I never truly was a grip.
Okay.
It was just for that movie. Like that was
just for that one movie. Okay.
Well, according to your IMDb on Santa's Promise, you were also a Best Boy grip.
Yep. That was the same production company that did Notzilla.
Right. So
go on.
I'm correcting you. You don't even know your history.
I do know my history.
In Triangle Park, it says you were key grip.
Well, that's wrong, but okay. I'll take it.
All right.
I'll take that credit, but I don't think.
Well, you have it.
Maybe that was Brendan.
You did work on the film though. Triangle Park.
That was Beebs. I did. Yes.
That almost sounds like it might be a horror movie. Is it?
No, it's actually about the first football game ever played.
Ah, cool.
It was played in Dayton, Ohio.
The first college football game, or
professional? Not quite, not NFL, but first professional football game.
Yeah, I get it.
It was in Dayton, Ohio. It was Columbus versus Dayton, I think.
Huh.
It was played at Triangle Park up in Dayton.
Well, now I want to see that film.
I don't know where you can find that one, but
okay, cool.
I would say you guys should go, if you haven't yet, you guys should go watch The Bike Riders. That was shot here. And it's the latest movie that has all the buzz. It's very good. Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Michael Shannon, Norman Reedus.
Wow.
So just since you name dropped, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you get to mingle? Like, do you get to meet those people at the craft table, or how does that work on a movie set between crew and actors?
You guys are sharing the same space. Doesn't necessarily mean you get to mingle. So You could meet each other craft service and you could say hi and you guys could have a small conversation, or the actors could have nothing to do with you. It just depends on the movie. Actually, the most talkative actor I've ever met was actually Ben Stiller, and he would actually hang around in between cuts and like talk to crew and things like that, which was different than anything I've ever experienced.
Well, I'm sure they all have different, like there's method actors who have to stay in character and all that stuff. And then there's but people do talk, you see on social media that some actors, and you just mentioned Ben Stiller, do talk to crew and are nice to the crew. And that probably makes it, I don't know what the right word is. I wanted to say calmer or more easygoing on set if the actors are interacting, because you feel more comfortable, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Does that help when they talk to you, or is it just a bonus that you get?
It depends on how busy the crew is compared to the actor. So if we're running around like crazy doing a lot of stuff and he's trying to talk to us, it would get probably annoying. But if we're just, waiting on a camera setup or something and he's talking to us, it would be fine. I've never been the kind of person who wants to talk to actors, I guess. It's not really been something that I'm like, oh, I need to talk to this guy because I've seen him in movies and TV and stuff. So it's never really been that big of a deal. It is nice in the sense that this person who is viewed as higher than you wants to talk to you in a sense. So it's kind of like if you, met Queen Elizabeth or something. She's like above you in a sense.
Right. In status. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of nice when you see them kind of
see, because then if they're mean to you, can you like light them really poorly?
No,
or you'd probably get in trouble.
Make them look bad.
Yeah, gotcha.
You never make them look bad. But it's at the end of the day, it's a job, and you're there to do a job.
So do you travel all over, or do you only work on films that are local here?
I haven't traveled much. I've traveled more for commercials than I have for film. The farthest I've gone for film is Cleveland.
That's pretty local.
Was that recently?
But they do film a reasonable number of films in Cincinnati, right? It's a pretty popular place to film.
It's becoming.
Yeah, Cincinnati and Cleveland are pretty good because you can make them look like any other city. You can.
True.
Cincinnati, probably cheaper.
You can turn it in. Yeah.
You can do any cheaper period because there's different sections of the city which look like any period you would want to do.
Exactly. And you could turn OTR into 1960s New York. You could turn downtown into 2000s, whatever. You could do whatever you want with it. And it's a lot cheaper than going to New York or LA or Vancouver.
So when were you in Cleveland, Brendan?
I was in Cleveland early July.
Early July, so it's recently.
That's very recent, yes.
Okay.
Is Greg trying to get you to talk about something you're not supposed to talk about?
What do you want to hear about, Greg?
Well, spit it out, Greg.
I know there was like a little production in Cincinnati recently filming, I don't know, some film called Genesis or something.
Yep.
Down at the railway station.
Up in Cleveland and down at Union Terminals.
Union Terminal. You mean that big building downtown?
That might resemble something else?
That kind of is on the west end and kind of looks like the Hall of Justice from the Super Friends.
I don't know what that is, but yeah. They were shooting down there.
Okay. Cool. Did you get to meet any of those?
For, yep.
Did you get any of those actors?
No, on that I was on rigging. So in rigging, you go ahead of main unit.
So you set all the scaffolding
pre-established
up what not?
Yeah, well, I was in main unit electric, so we pre-run power.
Gotcha.
We pre-run.
So you weren't like on a lift or anything, putting a flag on the building or anything like that.
No, sir. No, sir. It's pre-running a bunch of power and building lights. That's what I was doing.
Gotcha.
It's interesting. So you must be on a list, right, of people. So when a production company comes to Cincinnati or Ohio, I would guess, in the area, there must be a list of people, right, who kind of are called together to do this stuff. So do you know the people generally who you're working with? Are they the same people?
Yeah, you run into a lot of the same people you work down here, up in Cleveland, wherever. A lot of these productions intermingle because we don't have enough people.
So you're really a crew. When you say crew, you kind of know everybody, most people that you're working with.
Yeah, if it's specifically locally made movie, so like Bike Riders was most of the crew was Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, Toledo based people. You see all those people moving in and moving out. We do have our little cliques. We have like the Cincinnati guys, the Columbus guys, and the Cleveland guys. But you see all those same people. Yeah. We do argue about who's the best. Clearly Cincinnati.
Of course.
But yeah.
And I do have to, since I've got it up here in front of me now, all the actress who won all those awards is like the lead,
Was it
the female lead?
Tiffany?
Yep.
I think she's local because she's been in a couple commercials I've worked on as well.
Yeah, she kind of looked familiar to me too.
Yeah.
All right, are you allowed to talk about Genesis and what Genesis is?
It's the new James Gunn Superman.
Yes,
I think it's no secret that he's making a Superman movie.
No, because I have an article from the Cincinnati Enquirer right here that I was going to spill the beans if you weren't allowed to anyway.
Spill the beans. I don't know. What are they going to do? Sue me?
Yeah, it's just an article that
so wait, before you go, so as you've gone on, this is obviously now a major motion picture. What we talked about was an independent film, and you said you were paid hourly. So on this film, are you also paid hourly? Is that kind of what your job is, salary? Or do you ever get points or anything like that? Do you ever get any money from how well it does at the box office, or are you always just done when you're done?
I think actors are the only ones that do points. We are just done when we're done. So
okay. Does a major motion picture pay a lot more than a independent film, or do you have a certain rate that you always get, kind of? And as you have more experience, you get more.
Major motion picture, so like something like Superman is going to pay more than what Notzilla ever could afford.
Well, yeah, but that's a bad comparison.
Okay, well, something like Nutcrackers I worked on at the beginning of the year, which was a $7 million movie, paid more than what Notzilla paid.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But not as much
Notzilla,
as Superman.
So it's more to do with the budget of the film, not necessarily your experience or whatever. It's kind of.
So this is all like union jargon, but there's different contracts that films sign when they come to shoot here. There's tier lists, so there's tier 1, 2, and 3, and then there's what's called ASA, which is the Area Standard Agreement. And so then you're paid based on a scale. So with ASA, you're going to be paid more, but then your scale can be negotiated to go up. And I'm going to put a disclaimer in here. I don't know 100% what I'm talking about when it comes to these things, because this is union stuff. This is
somebody else negotiates and you just get a paycheck. Gotcha.
Correct. So I just sign they say you make X amount of money. I sign that and then we move on.
Do you get overtime or anything if things run over, or are you?
Yeah, if you go over 12 hours, you start to go into time and a half. If you go over 14 hours, you go into double time, and it kind of scales
Did
up.
that happen on Genesis?
We did a 16-hour day.
There you go. See?
So we make good money. It happens more often than people think. The longest day I've done is 18 hours.
Oh my God. That's a long time.
Crazy.
Brutal. There's people I've heard that do 48 total. They do 48 consecutive hours. Again, I've only been in this industry a very small amount of time. 6 years or so compared to somebody else, but they would have more insight than I would, the union jargon. And
no, I get it. I understand that. I was just curious. Like, I don't know if anyone listening has any interest in joining the industry or whatever. That's kind of what I was asking about, just in case, someone's like, oh, that sounds like a cool job. I wonder how that works. That's all. And besides nepotism, is there any other advice that you have for someone who wants to get in? Do you just join the union? What's your first step for doing something like that?
I would say if they would reach out to their local production office or see a film commission. We have Film Cincinnati, and I don't remember her, and she will put you on a crew, and then you can get calls from there. You could also reach out to local production companies.
Without experience, or do you need some sort of experience?
No, you could just tell her, hey, you could tell whoever I'm looking to get into the business, whatever way you have to schmooze your way in, willing to come out and do it.
No, Greg, you got to schmooze again. You're in trouble.
You got to grease the wheels, Greg, any way possible.
Trying to get him a retirement job. I don't think this is
welcome to Walmart.
It's better than would you like fries with that?
Oh yeah, that's
Hey, at least
true.
they gave you a chair to sit down and greet at Walmart. You got to stand all day on set.
No, you're out.
True. That is true.
Look up, if you're in the Cincinnati area, look up Film Cincinnati. Give them a Google, send them an email, call them, whatever their contact info says. They will put you on a crew list, and then you could reach out to the union and join. You don't need any experience to join the union. And then you would end up on a crew list. The union also has a crew list, but I would also say just Google Cincinnati production
So
companies.
you just walk on set and somebody points you in a direction and tells you what to do.
Tell them it's my first day, and they say, great, good to see you. Grab this thing, follow me.
There you go.
And then you learn from there. You could also go to film school.
The best boy job.
I don't want to say it'll get you farther, but it's definitely a place where a lot of people start. Why pay for something when you can learn to do it?
That's true.
Look at it. So yeah, Film Cincinnati, reach out to local production companies. We also have a rental house here in Cincinnati called Midwest Grip and Lighting. You could ask them if they're hiring, or if you could get put on a, sometimes we have them from out of town, Grips and Electrics.
Doesn't sound very complicated. Doesn't it seem like it would be a lot more complicated to walk into the film industry? I don't know. It just seems, huh?
I think it should be, or would
yeah,
be.
I mean, it just, I'm not.
It's a grind. I'll tell you, it's not, you're not going to end up on a list and then be the first call every time.
Right.
But you got to be willing to not make a lot of money for.
Yeah, you got to pay your dues.
Long amount of time. Right? Yeah.
Well, that's the same with anyone. It just seemed to me like there would be, I don't know, many more steps to it or something. I think it's great. And that's why talking to you and learning those things is extremely interesting to me, because it's a world I know nothing about. And so just to find out, and obviously it's great if you know people. Like Greg knows you. So when he gets on the list, he'll be like, I know Beebs. And then
that's right. And that you'll be surprised at how far that takes you. Honestly.
See? And then people would be like, I don't know him. I don't know. Never seen that man in my life.
I say, but it's I mean, Brendan.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
Ian or Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Either one. Same diff.
But I do want to read a little bit from the Cincinnati Enquirer about Genesis.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, I tried to steer him away, but here we come back.
Do it.
I highlighted it and printed it and everything.
Okay.
Printed it. You can just pull it up on an iPad, can't you?
I can, but I highlighted it.
You can probably do that on an iPad too.
Brendan, you know how old I am. Old enough to be.
And I'm way older, so.
All right, Genesis is code name for Superman Legacy. A film called Genesis was awarded more than $11 million in tax credits from Ohio in February to film in Cincinnati and Cleveland, according to a press release. It says that filming was to take place, or could take place, but it has happened now. It in the Cincinnati Museum Center, which is in Union Terminal, and also Lytle Tunnel, which is a tunnel that main interstate going through Cincinnati goes through. So they were talking about portions of Lytle Tunnel closing. Union Terminal is the logical setting for Superman to film because it was the inspiration behind the Hall of Justice, the hero headquarters of the Justice League. And the reason why it was the inspiration is because cartoonist Al Gamure and Joe Barbera from Hanna-Barbera were surveying Cincinnati for ideas and found that building and found inspiration for the Hall of Justice. And it did later appear in DC comic books as well. So
it really is the inspiration. I didn't know that.
It is.
If you Google it, it's oddly.
It's exactly.
I had to Google it. Oh
my God.
Because I haven't seen the Hall of Justice. I Googled it and I was like, yeah, I see it. For sure. Get rid of the clock. I don't know what they're going to do about the clock. Get rid of the clock. It's perfect.
Yeah. Well,
that's an easy fix though. I mean,
yeah.
With today's modern technology, you just paint that right out.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of that, I kind of noticed in this Notzilla film that it looked like a lot of the special effects were done in post-production, like the glowing green stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was done well. I liked the
special effects budget wasn't very big.
But I thought it was done well. All right. Anything else, Karen?
You guys liked it.
I we did like it.
I think I've grilled him enough for my third career.
But yeah, so I would say go see it or rent it, or it's on Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah, it's only $3.99.
Yeah, if you get the standard definition version.
Which I did.
I did as well. Because
were there hard copies? I didn't notice. Could you buy it on Amazon?
you can buy it and download it on Amazon, yes. And you can buy, I'm sure there you can buy the
Well, like, could you buy a
DVD.
physical
Yeah.
copy?
I'm sure you could.
Yeah. If you like Airplane, Leslie Nielsen, Mel Brooks, if you like that kind of stuff, you'll appreciate it. And if you're from the Cincinnati area,
And Godzilla
for sure,
films.
you will get. Yeah,
Classic
you'll,
Godzilla films.
Right. It's funny that we hit all those boxes. We check all those boxes. So
We do check all those boxes. That's true. All right. Anything else, Karen, we need to discuss while we have Brendan? Any more questions about the film industry you have for him?
I don't think so. Do you have any more?
I don't. All right. Well, thank you, Brendan, for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. This was
well, and you got to be on
fun.
this one. Oh my God.
Yeah. A lot of firsts happening in my
well, see, and career. Now you'll just jump to bigger and bigger podcasts. Just remember us when you get up there.
I'll bring you along.
That would be nice. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Brendan. I appreciate it. And thank you, boys. And thank you, boys and girls, for listening to Scary Spirits Reviews.
Ooh.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.